Have you ever made a zipper pouch or bag or another sewing project and it turned out floppy, flimsy, puckers, bubbles in the fabric? Chances are it's not your sewing, it's the interfacing you're using. Today I'm going to simplify interfacing and stabilizers, help you understand what to use, what not to use, and show you a lot of tips and tricks that will give you a quality, professional finish to your projects. I'm Jan Howe. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm all about showing you tips and tricks for your sewing and crafting and DIY projects to make them simpler and a lot less stressful. Choosing interfacing for your projects can feel a little overwhelming and confusing. There are so many different types, different weights, different brands, but I've been using interfacing for quite a while now, and I have found out what works best for what projects, and I'm going to share those tips with you. So what is interfacing? Interfacing is a hidden layer of fabric that adds structure, shape, and stability to your sewing projects. There are several different kinds, and we're going to go over them now. So the different categories of interfacing. You're either going to have a sew-in or a fusible, a woven or non-woven interfacing. You'll have a stretch interfacing. There is foam stabilizers, and there's also Fusible Fleece. Don't get overwhelmed. I have a free PDF that you can download that has all the categories, what type and what weight they are, and how to use them. Now let's break it down and show you what they look like. This is a fusible woven interfacing. It has a fabric-like texture. You can see the grain lines in it, and it will have a bumpy side and a smooth side. It's good for clothing, for the cuffs, for the collars, for your buttonhole panels. That's a good one to have if you make a lot of clothing items. The next one on my list is non-woven fusible. It will come in a lightweight and a midweight and a heavyweight. It doesn't look like fabric really. It just looks kind of synthetic. It will have little dots and a bumpy side to it. This is a lightweight. You can see it's very drapey and very thin. Where this interfacing, it's also a non-woven, and it has a little bit more structure to it. It feels a little bit more like paper. You can see how it will crinkle up like that and not be soft and flowy like this. This is for lightweight fabrics. This is for, you can also use it on lightweight fabrics. Either one of these are great for quilters cotton. They are good for zipper pouches, anything that needs a little bit more structure to it. This is a knit interfacing. Now for a long time I didn't know there was such a thing, and when I would make sewing projects when I was sewing with knit, they would just get all crazy and stretchy, and I have a tutorial showing you how to use a stabilizer on your knit hems. But let me just show you what this will look like, the difference with stabilizer. This is a knit fabric, and it will just give it structure, but yet it'll still stretch. You can see that. And if you're putting buttonholes or a zipper panel or something in knit, you can see how this one, when I put a buttonhole in it, got all wavy, and it doesn't look professional, does it? But this one has, it's flat, no bumps or ripples, and it's stable. So that is your knit stabilizer. It really feels like paper on this side, and this is the glue side. Then you have your Fusible Fleece. I use this a ton on my zipper pouches and my bags and lots of other projects. This is what it looks like. As you can see, it kind of feels like a blanket, but there is a bumpy side on it. You can get non-fusible if you want, but I like the fusible. And it just makes the projects, gives it a little bit more form, more structure, but not rigid. It's really soft. And I have used it in my zipper pouches. So you can see that it's not real stiff and it's soft, but it gives it some structure. And then you have your foam. It comes in fusible or non-fusible. Some projects, I really don't need it to be fusible. So you can, it's a little bit cheaper and less expensive to get the non-fusible, but whatever you choose to get, it works great. So you could use it on a zipper pouch, but it would make it, it would still be soft, but it would be more boxy. And I love using it on my eyeglass case pattern. You can see how that worked really nice. And you see how you can make scrappy fabric and piece that together right onto this foam. And that's a fun project. You want to check that out. Now, if you have a project that needs a lot of structure and something thicker and heavy duty, this Pellon Peltex 70 works really well. This particular one is not iron-on, but it will give your hat brims or something that needs structure, a fabric box. This would work well for that. The most important thing I can tell you is, and a rule of thumb to go by, is to match the weight of your fabric to the weight of the stabilizer. So if I were to use this really rigid piece on a thin piece of fabric, like this cotton, it could work out, but you're taking a chance of it really, of puckering, and it would be good to use this on denim or corduroy or something, or canvas. And if I were to use a really thin piece like this fusible on a thick piece of fabric, that wouldn't be enough to do anything. And let me mention too that you can, if you needed more structure or more stiffness, you could add a couple layers of the thinner weight if you needed to. I'm going to demonstrate cutting out this side panel for a bucket hat out of interfacing and out of fabric. First thing that you want to do is make sure there aren't any wrinkles in your fabric. There's some wrinkles there, so I'm going to give that a good press. And the pattern calls for 2 of these side panels of fabric and 2 of the interfacing. But I'm just going to cut out 1 for today to let you know how to do that. So you'll take your interfacing and just cut out a general size that will fit on. I could have got away with a smaller piece, but I'm just going to go with that. And you'll trace the pattern onto the interfacing. I know that sounds like an extra step, but you will love the results of this. So I'm going to place the wrong side, which is the smooth side, facing up, and then I'm going to trace that pattern onto it. And you could pin this in place if you wanted to, but I'm going to just hold it. Then I'm going to flip it over so the bumpy side is on the top. Then I'll take the fabric piece, place it on top with the right side facing up. And don't want to have any of the interfacing showing, because that way you can you'll take a chance of getting the glue on your iron, and you don't want to do that. So another preventative thing you can do is take a piece of just an ironing cloth. This is a piece of really thin silk organza that I'm going to put over. You're not going to take a chance of getting that on your fabric, which is a bummer. I've done it before. You don't want to use sliding motions like we do when we're ironing our clothes. You'll want to just press. Hold it in one place for a bit, lift it up, and move it. Until the whole piece has been heated. because if you do use that sliding motion, you can take a chance of distorting the fabric and you're going to get those puckers. That should do it. I'm going to let that cool for a minute. So another thing that you want to watch out for and look for, and maybe even do a test with your interfacing and your iron, is to make sure it's not too hot. Sometimes this iron can get a little hot and it will just start to curl the fabric and the interfacing. So it's good to do a little test. This is what I love, is now you can take your panel piece that has the interfacing on it and cut it out, and you get a nice crisp edge. Both of them cut exactly the same, so that when I go to sew this panel together, everything lines up. I have a smooth finish and you're good to go. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I hope it will help you get better results with all of your projects that include interfacing and stabilizers. Be sure to click on the link below where you can get the free stabilizer guide. This will be handy to have in your sewing room. If you find my tips and tutorials helpful, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you do that, because you don't want to miss out on any new videos or tutorials that I put up. And if you want to check out my website, youmakeitsimple.com, where you will find my patterns and other DIY projects that you may be interested in. Thanks so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, have fun sewing, and we'll see you in the next tutorial.